Hello, my name is Luis Benitez. I'm one of the social software product managers at IBM, and I'm here today with Luis Suarez, who's another Luis in another island. I happen to be in Puerto Rico, and Luis happens to be in the Canary Islands across the Atlantic. So, Luis Suarez, can you tell us who you are and what you do at IBM?
Hi, Luis Benitez. Thanks for having me today. Yeah, sure. My name is Luis Suarez. I work for IBM Spain. I'm part of the software group, and I'm part of a group called Blue IQ, whose mission is to actually do social software internal evangelism. So we do plenty of education, support, enablement, coaching, mentoring, consultancy with our internal employees so that we can sort of like show them and demonstrate how they can use all of these various different social software tools as business tools. And on my spare time, I'm one of those people who 2.5 years ago decided to give up on email as a way to communicate and collaborate.
But I did hear that at the Enterprise 2.0 conference in Santa Clara about a month ago, you were named the Internal Enterprise 2.0 Evangelist of the Year. So, can you tell us a little bit more about the award?
That's right. That was totally unexpected because I was on holidays at the time. So I had this call from one of my fellow colleagues who actually told me, "Hey, you won it." I said, "Like, I won what?" It's actually an award that is given out yearly by the 2.0 Adoption Council, which works together closely with the Duchess Group. And what they do is they try to recognize every year the work of internal evangelists in various different corporate environments on how they are helping accelerate the adoption rate of social software. So certainly I was the winner for this year in 2010, and this is something that I have been telling everyone about, that it's certainly something not a one-man job kind of thing. I have got an entire team behind me and also an internal community of social software evangelists called Blue IQ Ambassadors, as well as the Blue IQ program that I'm part of, that have been fundamentally and instrumental in making that change happen, right? And helping IBM understand how they can use these business tools. So certainly when I received the award, it was certainly not, like I said before, not something of an individual award, but more of a team effort, of a community effort, of the stuff that we have been doing in IBM for the last 3 years.
We now have this different keywords going on. So we have Enterprise 2.0, we have social software. You mentioned before that you're living a life without email. So how does it all come together?
Right. Initially, we probably should start with Enterprise 2.0, right? Or Web 2.0 if we want to go back to the internet. That was the usage of social software outside of the internet. And that same usage, that same use of social software inside of the corporate environment, of the firewall, that's what it's called, or that is what is known as Enterprise 2.0. And basically what it is this next generation of emerging social software tools that help improve the way we collaborate and share knowledge across organizations. And perhaps, one of the main benefits of Enterprise 2.0 is the situation where it helps both small, medium, and large organizations and businesses realize the myth that they have an opportunity to collaborate more effectively than whatever was happening before with traditional tools like email or instant messaging or discussion databases or whatever it is. And one of the main premises from Enterprise 2.0 is to actually flatten the organization, readjust the way hierarchies and structures and organizations work, becoming more lenient, becoming more flexible, more agile. And one of the main benefits as well from Enterprise 2.0 is the opportunity to get rid of all of those silos that we have been working with for a good number of years. Now, I'm not saying that all silos are bad. There's some silos that are good, those that need to have and protect their information for whatever the reasons, where we're talking about our intellectual capital or whatever else. But the vast majority of the other silos, that's one of the main premises from Enterprise 2.0, to break them through and look forward to that environment where everything happens more out in the open, more publicly, more transparent, so that people get an opportunity to figure out what to do with new information, new knowledge that they get exposed to on a daily basis with their teams and their extended teams, right? That's the premise from Enterprise 2.0 behind the firewall itself.
So taking that premise, what benefits have you seen internally at IBM with the group that you're doing and the group and the work that the Blue IQ group is doing?
Well, some of the main benefits have been along the lines of freeing up knowledge where before it was hoarded by groups or where it was not shared at all, basically. And now with Enterprise 2.0, we have an opportunity to get all of that knowledge out, right? To ensure that knowledge workers have got the best of knowledge, the best of the opportunity or the best of opportunities to reach out to the experts, right? So one of the main benefits that we have had over the last few years is an opportunity to find experts much faster, right? So people being able to tag themselves, being able to tag others, being able to use all of that metadata to not only just locate the resources, in this case, information and knowledge, but also the people behind it has been very fundamental. So typical finding expert activity that would take 2 or 3 hours, now it takes a matter of minutes. And depending on the networks that you hang out with, it's a matter of seconds, right? So that helps accelerate innovation, obviously. The opportunity that you're having much faster access to the experts is very key so far. Another benefit is the opportunity to classify information much better. Before we had, rely on traditional taxonomies, on structures that were perhaps a little bit cumbersome in the knowledge sharing flows. And with Enterprise 2.0, what we say is that it's a lot easier to produce content, but it's also a lot easier to manage and tag and store that knowledge that was there before. And remember that all of this knowledge is now happening out in the open. So the fact that you're sharing it out there with your networks implies that people will have an opportunity to work with it really, really nice. And that gives an opportunity to say, not only can I find the experts, but I can also find the content behind those experts, right? And that's one of the key benefits as well. And the other one as well is that Enterprise 2.0 applies to everyone, right? Because most people think and would say that, this is just for my regular employees. I'm a big boss. I'm so busy. I don't have the time for this. Well, you're the first one who should use it, right? It's a better way to communicate with your teams and with your communities. And that's one of the things that we have seen, that we have got a number of various different first, second, third line management, even to the level of the executives, IBM executives, that have benefited tremendously from opening up the world or what it is like being an executive inside of the company, right? So having an opportunity to learn what they do, how they communicate with their teams, helps a little bit on bringing up further clarity and transparency on what's actually happening. And it helps develop the conversation that, just as much as we knowledge workers benefit from using these social tools, so is everyone else on the management chain, right? Going from second line, third line, middle management, the traditional middle management, as well as executives. So those are some of the various different benefits.
That's interesting because it's almost like, before with knowledge management practices or tools or whatever the case may be, maybe with FTP servers or huge shared drives, people had an easy job of sharing content, but it was a very hard job of finding content and reusing that intellectual capital. So it ended up almost being where knowledge workers were reinventing the wheel every time they needed something because they couldn't find the content that was already somewhere in the enterprise.
Absolutely. And at that time, plenty of people would probably claim that it was easy to share knowledge. Yes, it was easy to share it inside of a silo. Right, so no one else will have access to it. And some of the times, when we were sharing that information and that knowledge, you actually had to go through knowledge management repositories that were everything but easy, right? You had to go through a whole bunch of different fields that you needed to fill in. You had to go through a bunch of processes that needed to validate your intellectual capital, that needed to, be approved by a bunch of other people who didn't have the context, who didn't know exactly what your experience you were incorporating further and everything else. So one of the things that was happening is that, yes, knowledge was shared, information was shared, but perhaps not as fast as it is now, not as organized as it is now because it's organized by the network groups and everything else. And everything that will happen will take place in such a way that it becomes a lot easier to share all of that information. And better said, it also becomes easier not just sharing that information, but finding that information and the people behind it.
Exactly, definitely. Well, Luis, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Congratulations again on your award.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me, and I'll see you soon on the social web.
Yep, see ya.